Zeal is a power, a volcanic power, really. And sometimes people use it in their expression of zeal, using it for a cause, can be quite enthusiastic and also dangerous. We've seen people have zeal for a special cause, whether it's politics, religion, whatever it is, for music. I know if you go along to someone's house who's practicing their music, I know I went along for my music lesson with Miss Schofield at the Conservatorium. She had an ABC concert she had to get right, and I was 10 minutes early for my lesson. And I sat down there, and even though she let me in on time, you could tell she didn't want to be interrupted. She just wanted to get on and get this piece of music going so that she was going to be all right. Of course, she was brilliant, of course. But that's how our zeal can take us. We don't like to be interrupted. We just want to do what we do. But in doing that, it can cause a few problems for others that don't share our zeal or our cause. I'm enjoying the 12 powers this time around. It's the second time around for us here at Unity, and I think we've gone deeper than last year. And what I'm finding is that you can't have one without the other. What we're doing, if it's zeal, it's wise to use wisdom, love, and understanding. As I said, it's a volcanic power. Look what it's done over the years. We've seen the damage and upheaval caused by misplaced zeal. Some countries are still suffering from it. Whether it's religious fundamentalism or some political upheaval, really it's quite scary to think. Is their zeal based on truth? Are their beliefs based on truth? And this is where, with our philosophy, it's dangerous even for us to claim we know it all. We don't, because as Charles Fillmore said, we reserve the right to change our mind. And what's right for me at my particular time may not be right for you, but us and here at Unity enjoy knowing what I believe are some of the most powerful tools on the planet to help us get through this life, realizing there's more to life than just our body. Greg Shepherd, I think in the Unity magazine, I think that's his name, he has a Q&A. And I love watching it. I think I've told you before. And they get a bit cheeky, some of the questions to him. One of them said, Dear Reverend Shepherd, you say we have an immortal life. Tell us all about that. Will I have an immortal life? And Reverend Shepherd said, yes, but not in this lifetime. So that's food for thought. We've got to store up these treasures for us because this body's going to go eventually. We love it. We don't want to think that, but we enjoy each stage. And as I'm getting older, you know, you go through the 4 stages of man and woman, and you think, well, let's just enjoy each stage. And at this stage, it's great because I don't feel I have to run around like a teenager anymore or an aggressive middle-aged business person. It's a great stage of life to be. I don't sit down and read the holy books all day, but I still enjoy life, and it's just amazing what I'm learning now as an older person. To use the zeal in an unbalanced way is dangerous because we learn about the laws of the universe here, and what we put out, we get back. It's that law, that boomerang law, the law of attraction. What we put out, and if we're going to put it out with a lot of zeal, look out. It'll come back. But that's okay. It's a learning experience. The universal laws cannot change and do not change. So, where did this word zeal originate as we use it today? According to the Jewish historian Josephus, there were 3 main Jewish groups at the time of Jesus. It's worthwhile reading a bit of Josephus. He's not aligned with any religion or anything, but he He's a historian. And as far as we know, some believe a little bit of it's been altered, but there's a string of truth in most of it. At the time, there were three main groups: the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes. Now, the Essenes weren't mentioned in the Bible, but Josephus mentioned them. And it's been brought to light in recent times. And I'm so glad that we know more about the Essenes. And we can thank a man called Edward Bordeaux Leakey. That's the book, The Gospel of the Essenes. I found that the whole heap of them in the Theosophical Society in the early 70s. I've got them all there. It's supposed to be in the secret Vatican archives. But anyway, even if true or false, this is really good stuff. It's peaceful. The book I've got here is called The Essene Gospel of Peace. And those of you who know about them were that they're mainly holistic people. They lived apart in the desert, and some even believe that Jesus spent time with them. Opposite the peaceful Essenes, we had another group called the Zealots. Now, the Zealots were a very fundamentalist sect and nationalistic sect. They combined the religious practices of the Pharisees, who had strict allegiance to the law of Moses, but they had an underbelly where they were political. They sought the downfall of the occupation of Rome at that time. Simon the Cananean, who's the disciple of the month, is written up in Acts 1 verse 3 and also in Luke 6:15 as Simon the Zealot. And it was the Zealots who survived the Romans for about 3 years by retreating to Masada, which is Hebrew for fortress. It's a palace overlooking the Dead Sea, which was once the summer retreat of King Herod. This was dramatized years ago, like a mini-series, and they used proper footage. And here we are up on top of Masada, and it was looking down into the Dead Sea in the distance, and you think, what a wonderful existence that was. And these zealots decided that they were going to stay there come what may. But the Roman army were just as zealous. It took them 3 years, but they eventually won. And I suppose most of you know what happened to the zealots that were left there. They decided life wasn't living. There was quite a sad ending to it, dramatized very, very well. So that's the power of zeal on both sides. So this volcanic power of zeal, along with wisdom, understanding, is a vital ingredient to us living our life to the fullest. From the Gospel of Thomas, which was found in the Nag Hammadi Desert in Egypt in 1945, quite a dramatic find in the caves, and they were lucky they got it. Thomas says, "If you bring forth what is in you, what you bring forth will save you. What you do not bring forth which is in you, you are bringing forth. If you do not bring forth what is in you, what you are not bringing forth will destroy you." Quite dramatic words. The greatest gift we have is the gift of life. Life, and we're breathing it now. It's a connection to physical and spirit. And as we breathe in for our meditation, we can do that consciously anytime we like to center ourselves. Our life needs to be expressed. It can't stand still. We have to do something. Nature abhors a vacuum is one of the other words I've heard. So we have to do something with our life. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 11. "Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit." We can't all do the same thing, We can be zealous about little things. And we need someone to bake the bread for the bakery. We need someone to take the garbage out. We are all interrelated, and no person is an island unto themselves, despite what some people may think in their wonderful offices and billionaires and all these people. We are all related, and we are all part of that one power, and we all have something to express. Now, I'm sure we've all come across someone who eventually has given up on life. They've had a talent, and somehow it was never expressed to the fullness. And they have a certain bitterness about them, and sadness, or even resentment with some. I remember a powerful scene in the movie On the Waterfront, the line used by Marlon Brando, who was a shady character just about to be carted off to jail. He said, "I could have been a contender. I could have been." So maybe if he'd known a little bit about the spiritual laws, it would have been a big help to him. But there again, as I say, we have to do what we have to do. It's how we learn. Even if we can't see our talent, and we're not really expressing it, there are people around who can see it. Isn't that good? We have mentors and people that can show us the way. At school, in grade state school, I used to enjoy running. I didn't think I had any great talent at it. But at the school carnival, I lined up for, it was called the 100 yards then, that shows you my demographic. It's now the 100 metres. I was lined up, all the tough guys were there, the footy players, the cricket players, and here's me. All I wanted to do was play the piano. So I was dragged into it, and the rifle went off, and off we go for the 100 yards. And I'm jogging along thinking, oh yes, this is fun. And I thought, well, is this as fast as we go? And I looked around, all the others were heaving and puffing. I thought, oh, I can do better than this. And I just zoomed it to the end. Well, I didn't think that was anything special. It did surprise me. But then again, my father and I were met by a man after the carnival, and he said, Mr. Livingston, he said, I think your son shows great talent and great ability. We'd like him to come and train with us every evening on the Oval. And I thought, ooh, after school. And my father, of course, actually made me for about a week. Then I got into it. It was just heaven. We'd run around the Oval, and looking back, it was like my Chariots of Fire moment. There I am, going around, push-ups, everything. And I had so much energy. And do you know, this day, I know what peak fitness is. It's a memory though, but I know what it can be like. So other people can see the talent in us that we can't. And I'd like to thank all those people, and I'm sure you would too, that whether they're still alive or whether they've passed on into spirit, thank goodness they could see in us the gifts that we had. And this is for us as we now go forth and mentor too. Some of us are good in music, some of us are good in meditation, some of us are good at this. And I just love it. And as it said, there are many gifts of spirit. And we all are now at our stage of life able to help those young ones we see. I could look at someone when they used to come for their music lesson. You could see who was going to get there or not. Most of the time, you know, some people couldn't. But it didn't matter. They told me later in life, even though they weren't concert pianists, and I never became a concert pianist, that it helped them understand music and understand music better. And that was a step in their growth, because music is one of the most powerful subjects, along with mathematics in the old Greek philosophy. So how are we expressing our zeal? Some shout from the rooftops. They're in your face. Others just go about their own business, for quiet achievers. We know we're all inspired by the charismatic life coaches like Anthony Robbins and all these people. And in the early days, look how Billy Graham inspired a whole generation, standing up there saying, "Ye are sinners." And of course, we all rushed back to the Bible for about a week. And, but he inspired us all so much. Look, he filled the football ground, the MCG of all places, he filled it. Anyway, we seem to think these people live charmed lives, but they're not, they're human. Now, what about the others? And by the way, we presume that they're extroverts. But what about the introverts, those quiet achievers? Some of the greatest ideas in music and inventions and art were produced by people who preferred to go about their business in a quiet way. They didn't want interruptions. Imagine if you interrupted Van Gogh while he was doing his painting. You're very game. Or Beethoven in the middle of composing one of his wonderful sonatas. They just had to be on their own. And they found their greatest expression by Mozart too. Walking in the woods, he would hear the idea, the seed of an idea, which was going to become a sonata. And Mozart, probably I'd say was a lot more outgoing. I think Mozart was probably an extrovert. He enjoyed playing billiards. And that's where he got a lot of his information, inner ideas from. So the book says, and I believe it. He had quite a few interests. He was in the Masonic Lodge, so he was aware of the spiritual teachings, even though he was employed by a Catholic archbishop for some time. He managed to survive that. And we are now grateful for those wonderful sonatas and symphonies. But it's ironic, isn't it, that if you're an introvert, if you want to get out in the marketplace, you probably need an extrovert to push you. In her book, The Power of Introverts, the author Susan Cain writes, "The secret to life is to put yourself in the right lighting." And with me at the moment, it changes because the sun's come out again. Goodness knows what I look like on screen, but it doesn't matter. She writes, "The secret to life, putting yourself in the right lighting. For some, it's a Broadway spotlight. For others, it's a lamp-lit desk." I thought that was very quaint. So whether we consider ourselves an introvert or an extrovert, and some of us can be either at different times of the day or different times of the week, we can express our zeal and enthusiasm every day just by talking to one another. We can be enthusiastic when we pass someone on the street. You don't have to be over the top. And isn't it nice when we're talking to someone and we know they have their full attention? Some people have that gift. When you're speaking to them, they feel as if they're speaking really to you and they are listening. So we can use our energized spirit and zeal in activities that are quiet. And those on the spiritual path have read the books. I think you've read about Brother Lawrence in the kitchen, this famous monk. He was happy doing the dishes and doing what he had to do, his daily chores, but the way he did it, and we're still talking about him. I've got his book in the shelf there. I sometimes have a look. Then you've got Mother Teresa in India, so who had this absolute zeal, a zeal that was tested actually, and towards the end of the life, she got a bit discouraged, but she didn't stop. She kept going. So once again, zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. Its command is to go ahead. When we feel that we are stuck or stagnant in the same place, I call that divine discontent. We all know what that is. Seems as if we get to a certain point and we can't go any further. Peggy Lee's song, I use this from time to time. You've heard me say it before, but I'm going to say it again. That song, is that all there is? Is that all there is? In that song, the character had everything. But the soul urge was still saying, I'm here, what about me? Look in and see me. You won't see it in your tulips from Amsterdam or whatever your caviar you have for breakfast. There's something else. Here I am. Now, if we don't consciously do something about expressing our zeal, too bad, life does it anyway. Our body is changing. We're not the same person we were 10, 20, 30 years ago. It's scary to look back at some of our photos, and often you can look in a mirror accidentally as you're walking along the street, the glass in the shop front, and think, who's that? Ooh, it's me from the wrong angle. That is me. Anyway, as spiritual beings, we're here to learn to be the best expression of spirit that we can be. And thank goodness we've got these spiritual laws. We can go kicking and screaming until we are receptive to the wonderful You Thought Unity teachings, the universal spiritual laws that do not change. We're going to go from Adam to Christ, whether our present personality realizes it or not. And that divine zeal of spirit seeks expansion. And our personality will say, oh, look, not today. I want a pleasant afternoon. Maybe tomorrow I'll start. It's not like that. Yogananda, who I'm having a craze on at the moment, I've found the book, Man's Eternal Quest. He writes that spirit, the dream, is the idea in the mind of God. And matter is that dream expressed. That's us. That's all of us. Divine zeal. A poem by Oliver Wendell Holmes. This is an ancient poem, 1809 to 1894. Build thee more stately mansions, O my soul. As the swift seasons roll, leave thy low vaulted past, that each temple be nobler than the last. Shut thee from heaven with a dome more vast, till thou at length are free, leaving thine outgrown shelf by life's unresting sea. To sum up, at times we can become obsessed, overzealous with a project and a cause. We don't give equal time or balance to the rest of our lives. We are body, mind, soul, and spirit. And our enthusiasm can sometimes cause imbalance in one of these. So to repeat what I said earlier, the power of zeal lets you use wisdom, love, and understanding with it. Finally, another poem. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. A person should hear a little music, read a little poetry, and see a fine picture every day of their life, in order that worldly cares may not obliterate the sense of the beautiful with which God has implanted in our human soul. So in all our technology and crazy life, which seems at the moment, let's ponder those words. So join us this month as we all together explore the power of zeal in all its aspects. So be it. Thank you very much.